Today we're going to have a look at the pFlow D118 ultrasonic flow meter. Okay, this is a more advanced unit. Okay, we're just going to run through a typical installation, what will be involved with setting it up. So we're going to put it on this pipe here today, and we're just going to run through what you need to do. So to begin, this is what you'll get in the kit. So you obviously get your transducer set. You'll get the main unit itself, or your documentation, mounting hardware, and also a card reader. So I suppose first of all you'd be wall mounting it. So you have a template, so this will help you for drilling out your holes into whatever you're going to mount it to. Comes with a calibration certificate, PC software, manual, basically everything you'll need to install it. Okay, so getting into it, you'll have these flip out covers, and then you'll have a screw on each corner. Okay, so just undo each of these, and then the front cover will pivot open. Okay, next you'll connect up your transducers. So in the bottom of the flow meter you've got 4 cable glands. This is just where you'll run through your cables, so it's waterproof, dust tight and everything. And now we'll put in the transducers. So on your transducer cables you'll see it's got these markings downstream, and then on the other one you'll have upstream. Okay, so that just shows the direction the transducers need to be mounted. So I've already got one of these cables running in through the cable gland. I'll just show you putting in the other one. So if you undo the cable gland and pull out this rubber washer as well. Okay, we need to slide them onto the cable. So we'll have this on here. So that was difficult with one hand, but I've just slid the metal piece on first onto the cable and then the rubber piece, and now we can slide the cable in through the cable gland hole. Okay, cable in. You'll see the rubber piece goes up inside the cable gland and tighten it down. Okay. And that creates a nice solid connection where water's not going to get in. Now, terminating your cables, they've already got nice end pieces on there for termination on both, and we just want to install them into the section that says transducer. Okay, it's going to be a little hard to see here on camera, it's dark, but you've got an E, an up plus and an up negative, and then another E, a DN plus and a DN negative. Okay, so up is obviously upstream and DN is downstream, and then we just got to put these cables in. So you might need to loosen off these screws, mine are already loose, and then insert these cables one by one. So earth first, red will be your positive, and then black will be your negative. Okay, and obviously make sure your cable matches correctly. So upstream here is going into the up ports here. And then if I grab a screwdriver, I can just tighten these down. Smaller screwdriver. There we go. Tighten that one, and tighten that one. Okay, just make sure that none of them are shorting and that everything's tight. And then we'll do the same with the downstream side. So your earth, positive, and then negative. Okay, and tighten them down too. So wiring up these transducers should be done with the power off. You'll see at the moment the flow meter is off, so we've got no risk of any electrocution or anything. Okay, and just make sure they're all separated and not touching each other. Now for power, you'll see at the moment I've already got power connected, but this wire is not live at the moment, it's disconnected. So you can either use a DC power source from 10 volt to 36 volt DC, or you can use mains power 90 volts to 245 volts over here. So just a live, neutral and ground, and a positive DC and negative DC. Okay, I'm just going to use a DC power supply. It's easier. Just note that no power supply is included with the meter. You'll need to organize that yourself, or just ask us when we're quoting. We can quote a DC power supply if you need one. Okay, now I'm just going to turn on the power. And the flow meter will turn on. Okay, it's going to be hard to get the contrast ratio right on my camera. It is a nice, bright and easy to see screen in person. It's just hard to get right on the camera. Okay, so now that you've got the flow meter on, we've got our transducers connected. Okay, we do have to put the transducer still in the pipe, but first let's go through and set the parameters of the flow meter to the pipe we're going to install it on. So if we flip the lid down, we have the keypad here on the front. Okay, so there's a couple parameters, I suppose, that the flow meter needs to know in order to calculate your flow correctly for what you've got it installed on. So the first menu you're going to want to go into is your pipe diameter. Okay, so you can get this by pressing 1, and you'll see it now says pipe outer diameter. We need to set what the diameter of the pipe is. Okay, you can also get to this by pressing menu and then manually typing that menu number, which is 11. Okay, so pipe outer diameter, and then getting through menus you can use up and down like so, or you can press these shortcut keys. Okay, any of them will go to the shortcuts of those menus. So pipe diameter, I want to set this to 60.35, which is already on, but I'll do it again. I'll press enter to now set it. You'll see it's blinking. I'll type 60.35 and then enter again. Okay, the next one we want to do is the wall thickness. Okay, so I can press pipe thickness. You see it's set to 2.3, it's what I want it on. I'll do it again, press enter, type the number, and then enter again. Okay, pipe material is your next one. Okay, I'm going on a PVC pipe, but you'll see you can go aluminium, asbestos, fiberglass epoxy, other, carbon steel, stainless steel, cast iron, ductile iron, copper, and back to PVC. So if your pipe material is not listed there, you just select other, and then go down a menu, and you'll see you can manually enter the sound speed of your pipe. So you might be able to find that online, or there's a couple others in the back of the manual. But it just basically needs to know the sound speed of your pipe, and these are just known sound speeds. So we'll set this one as PVC, which is what I'm using. Okay, your liner material, if you have one, you'll need to set that in here as well. In this case, I don't have a liner in my pipe, so it's set to none. Fluid type is on menu 20. Okay, we need to set this to water in this case, but again, you can just scroll through and select what you've got. So they're the standard options that I've just run through there. Okay, again, if you've got something else, you select other, which is here, and go down a menu, and you can manually enter the sound speed for your fluid. But in this case, I'm going to go up, and I'm going to set this to water. Transducer type is going to be standard every time. For this one, there's only one set of transducers that is relevant. Okay, so there's also a plug-in and insertion type, but standard for an ultrasonic clamp-on is the correct one to use. Transducer mounting, you'll see it's got V. So V is the most common, it's considered the standard method, but there's also Z and N you can choose from. And basically what will happen in a V format is the signal will bounce from one transducer off the back of the pipe and into the other. Okay, that's the most common, that's what we're going to do here today, but you might need to try one of the other methods if you need to. So V method, and then finally it'll tell us the transducer spacing. Okay, I think this is on menu 25 from memory, it is. So it now says we need to space the transducers at 25.2 millimeters apart. So you'll see on my pipe, I've just marked this distance. I took a black marker, grabbed a ruler, and marked 25.2 on the pipe. So it's going to be nice and easy for me to mount them up. Okay, so I'll do that now. So what I'll do, so I'll grab my two transducers, let's make a bit of space. Okay, we're going to need to note which one's upstream and which one's downstream. So in this case, this is the upstream one. And what you'll do is take some of your couplant, and you want to cover this brown oval with the couplant. So this is the one you'll get included with your kit, or if you need more, this is another lube that we do use. It works just the same. So I'm going to use this one so I don't waste the good one. So basically just a nice big blob on the sensor. Okay, and this is basically to remove an air gap between the pipe and the transducer. Okay, so you just need some couplant on the transducer to do that, and you'll do that on both of them. Okay, like that. Okay, I'm going to need two hands for this, but I'm basically going to stick these on the pipe. I'm going to use some pipe straps that I've already got up here on the pipe. You'll have some that come in your kit. Okay, so these will do fairly small pipes. I'm not too sure how long they are. If you do need longer ones, you might need to find some longer straps somewhere. Just depends on the size of your pipe. But I'll do that now, and I'll be right back with you. Okay, so you can see I've got the transducers mounted up now. So we have both transducers in place, they're spaced correctly as per menu 25. And the other thing you'll notice on the transducer itself, it's going to be hard to see in this light to get it on just the right angle, but it does have an arrow. Okay, this shows the flow direction, so just make sure you've got them mounted in the correct position. In this case, the flow is going in this direction, so the arrows are pointing that way. Okay, so now you'll notice as well on the transducers we've got them mounted on the side of the pipe. Okay, so at the bottom you might have some sediment, and in the top you might have some air. So if you have them on the side, the signal will bounce, avoiding both of those things. Or both those possible things that might be in your pipe, and this will give you the best signal without issue. Okay, so now that we've got the transducers mounted up, there's a few things we need to do to check our installation is good. So if we go to signal, okay, you press this signal here, it'll give us a few values of interest. So you've got an up signal, a down signal, and a quality. Okay, these first two you just want within 10 of each other. Okay, if you have a larger than 10 differential, that may indicate you've got possibly a bad cable or a bad termination when we were putting the wires in earlier. But 10, within 10 of each other on those first two, and this Q value is quality. You want to make sure that is probably about 60 or higher is good. Okay, and then the other one you want to look at is down a menu on menu 91. So quality is actually menu 90, or just the quality key. Menu 91 is a ratio. Okay, this one you need within 3% of 100%, so between 97% and 103%. If you're outside of that, then you may have bad insulation, or maybe your spacing is incorrect, or something like that. So if I was to move the transducers left or right, or space them closer or further apart, this value would change. So we're good with 97.3, that's okay. Okay, and now we're ready to turn on some flow. So let me just turn on the pump here. Okay, so now some flow is going through the pipe. So if we go to rate, this will show our current flow rate. So this will slowly ramp up to the actual flow. And then maybe it might be of interest to go into diagnosis. If you have some issues and it's maybe not picking up your flow, you can use the diag button, and this will give some information if there's any problems. You can reference the manual then as to what these indications mean, but in this case we've just got system normal, everything looks good. Now if I go back onto flow rate, you'll see here's my current flow rate, and then below that is my totalized flow. Okay, you can look at velocity. You'll see here I've got 2.07 meters per second. Signal you've seen before. Your totalizer, that's just it's basically the same as rate actually. Net positive. And there's menu 91 in this one, so you can see when you're checking your signal, you can just go signal and tom toss for your other value. What else might be of interest? Perhaps logging. So you'll see inside the flow meter you've got an SD card. This is for your logging, and there's a switch here in front of it as well. It's got off and on. So if you want it to be logging, just have the switch in the on position, and you can set how often it takes a log. Okay, so that's on menu 50. So if I go to menu 50, it's got data interval. Okay, so you can change this to how often you want it to take a log, and at each time it hits that interval, it'll store what the flow meter is reading onto the SD card. Okay, when you have finished your logging and you want to retrieve those logs, just turn the switch to the off position. Okay, remove your SD card, and you can go into an SD card reader, and then included with the flow meter is some software where it can interpret those results and make them into a readable, an easy to manage format. Okay, the flow meter does have many other functions. They're a bit complicated to go through in this video, but you can do, say, a relay output. There's various outputs, 4 to 20 milliamp. You can retrieve data logs directly by hooking up an RS-232 cable if you need to. There's many more things you can do. This video is just to go through the basic functions of how you set it up. And that's going to be all for today. So thanks for watching. If you have any questions, just let us know. Thank you.